Linda Castellani has spent decades as a communications professional in advertising, public relations, and technical communications, where she saw firsthand how thinking can be influenced and manipulated. She has a question for you. Do you know how you know what you think? Linda says it's time to take a closer look at common methods used to influence our thoughts and opinions in this introduction to her seminar, Critical Tools for Critical Thinking.
Don't look. My fellow Academy members, faculty, and guests, I present you with my resplendent clown shoes because I've recently learned some news about the hidden dangers of clown shoes that I want to share with you because I think you'll be alarmed too. But first, I want to talk about critical thinking. I want to talk about the messages that we receive every day that influence our thoughts and opinions. And I'm going to give you an example. Recently, I saw a series of cartoons called Lies You Can Tell Your Kids While They're Still Young Enough to Believe You. And my favorite cartoon was one that showed Dad, a little kid, standing in front of a store with a sign that said ice cream shop. And the little kid's trying to drag his dad into the shop because he wants ice cream. And Dad's trying to drag him this way because he doesn't want him to have ice cream. So Dad, thinking quickly, resorts to a classic toddler diversion technique. And he says to his son, "Do you see the sign in the window? It says, today we only have poo ice cream. You don't want poo ice cream, do you?" No, no poo ice cream. I thought this was a pretty cute story, actually mildly amusing. And I told some of my friends, and I didn't give it another thought. Until a few days later, I was standing in line at Safeway, waiting to pay for my groceries, when I heard the woman in front of me tell the woman next to her this cute story about this poo ice cream. I was astonished to hear it being retold. And I was also surprised to discover that it had changed in two significant ways. The first one was I was no longer the narrator. In fact, I wasn't in the story at all. And the second one was it had been completely divorced from its context, and it was no longer being told as if it were a cartoon, but as if it had happened, an actual event. Now, why do you suppose that was? Do you think that somebody came along and said, this story will be an excellent vehicle to influence somebody's thinking? Or do you think that perhaps in telling the story evolved as stories do, and actually there was no agenda? So how do you know when your thoughts are being influenced? How do you know what to believe? Quick question. Is anybody thinking about clown shoes? Is anybody thinking about ice cream? Show of hands. Yes, ice cream. If any of you are thinking about either of those things, it's because I want you to. You did not arrive here today thinking about clown shoes and poo ice cream. You didn't think about them until I influenced you to bring, till I brought them up. So, for example, if you're thinking about clown shoes, then you're not noticing that I'm over here making you think about ice cream. And if you're thinking about ice cream, you're not noticing that I'm over here keeping you from thinking about clown shoes. So what to do? What to do? How do we figure this out? Well, I have an idea. I've created a seminar that I call Critical Tools for Critical Thinking, in which you will learn tools and techniques to make better informed decisions. You learned about the advantages of using these techniques, and more importantly, the costs of not using these techniques. And in fact, today only, I'm going to offer you 2 free tools from the Critical Thinking Workbook that you can use right now. Are you ready? The first tool is something that you carry around with you all the time, and that is you. You are the first tool. You are always the first tool in the critical thinking toolbox because the message comes to you. What do you think? Is it reasonable? Is it ridiculous? What is your gut telling you about this message? Does it pass the sniff test? Or does it perhaps smell a little fishy? The second tool is, off my shoes, pay attention, listen, ask questions. Does this story come from a credible source? Is it a source that you can believe, you personally? So, for example, if you go to research the story I told earlier about the ice cream, and all you find is an article in Pooh Ice Cream Quarterly, then you know. You know what the agenda is, you know what the bias is, and you have enough information to make a decision for yourself. I have invisible people in the back of the room who would be happy to sign you up for my seminar. But I hope you sign up for the seminar, and in the meantime, when faced with a decision, use your tools. Ask yourself, do they want me to think about Pooh ice cream, or do they want me to not think about clown shoes? Sign up for the seminar, learn more, and I'll see you there.